boss. I have the money right here. Don't worry. That detective doesn't suspect a thing. He doesn't have any leads. They'll have to buy it from us. Chief, I'm at the warehouse. I found missing rich wallets. Of course I can cut you in. Goodbye. See you later.
You're right, doing some commentary over this game, which was pretty unusual, even for Wild. It's actually Armour Druid with Mecha Cthulhu, and I'm playing a Dead Man's Hand version. Infinite Deadman, so it's 2 copies. And normally, when you queue into a Druid, you assume it's combo, so you immediately look for Rat. If it's aggro, you immediately look for Skipper and Armorsmith. So I compromised a bit in this matchup, and I kept Armorsmith and Battle Rage, which are usually good against both of those decks, because you want to draw pretty fast in order to find answers for removal or disruption. But this turned out to be neither. I started to suspect later on in the game that it was either Jade Druid, and then it suddenly and then it ticked that it was actually Armour Druid, but I wasn't expecting the Cthulhu until the end. When you see that taunt card with Oaken Summons, you also expect it to be Togwaggle Druid. That's also a possibility. So at this point in the match, I'm still thinking it's some sort of combo. I'm actually thinking it's Togwaggle Druid at this point. So a few little technical points here. I injure myself so I can have maximum cards draw off Battle Rage. So I'm at 27 HP. And here I'm just mainly concerned with trying to draw Rat at this point, because I think that's my best way to win. I only run one of them, so I'm pretty happy just to draw 3 cards and then play a 1-drop here, just so I don't overdraw it. Typically when you're playing a game of Dead Man's Hand with this particular deck, you should always assume it's aggro. So that's why I mulliganed at the start to look for Skipper and to look for Armorsmith and Battle Rage. They're like the main cards that you want against an aggro deck. You don't really want any of the weapons because Blood Razor is too slow. I guess you could keep Anchor, so you can actually draw the pirates. With Naturalize there and Vargoth, I still am assuming it's Togwaggle, because it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for Togwaggle to run Naturalize to make it so they have like a secondary win condition. By not maybe if like one of their cards get ratted, they can still play double Naturalize and a Tog, so you don't actually get the ransom. That could also be a possibility for them. So here, just starting to create a decent sized hand. Just to mention, nothing of use was really milled off. I think one of the oracles got milled, which was the saddest part, and the Bran, I think, as well. Which I would have used later on in the game, especially with Rat and other cards like that. So in retrospect, I didn't really know at the time what I was exactly playing against. I probably would have used Brawl there if I didn't think there still could be a small possibility of being Jade, because if it's Jade Druid, you'll want as many brawls to keep on prolonging the game later on. So I didn't use the Brawl there, but if I suspect it was another deck, I would have just got rid of the Brawl there, because Brawl is pretty hard to remove from your hand. When the game comes down to the end point in these situations where you want a Dead Man's in the perfect hand, so you'd have like Oracle, you'd have like a 1 piece of removal, like a Shield Slam or something like that, or a Zeph, and you just basically continually copy those in. So you'd Oracle, pull a Shield Slam or a Zeph out or something like that, and then slowly tick them down with Fatigue. So Brawl's a card that you don't typically want to keep. At this point in the match, I'm just trying to consider how many cards I can play so I don't overdraw, and continue to look for the Rat. I've got Acolyte on board as well, so it's a bit of a pain because I'm definitely gonna draw 2 cards next turn if he hits that. So when my opponent chooses to armor up there, this is it still could be target, but it's a bit of suspicious that he does choose to armor, and I choose the first the first copy of Deadman's there because I have a few really good cards. I have the Zeph obviously, and I have the Prime, and my last copy of Oracle. Also, the weapon's pretty good there. Like I say, I'm not entirely sure what the end game is for this guy, so I'm just copying in a few different answers. So you want Barov obviously to take out big targets. Prime is obviously pushing damage and gaining health, and Bulwark buys you a couple of turns. Overall, not too bad. Not too happy about putting the Brawl in, but it turns out Brawl is necessary towards the end of this match. And I'm still concerned about possibly overdrawing Rat or the other Deadmans. So I just dropped 2. The reason I dropped 2 there is just to play around the second Naturalize. So first Prime drops, and this is just to force something out of him, like having the 10/10 on board. This is pretty much a Poison Seeds, or the first Poison Seeds kind of bait. You'd expect most Druids to run 1 copy, if not 2. But we do get the second Naturalize out, which is great. We go to 10 cards next turn. Wrath comes on into hand, and I think at this point in the game we're pretty much safe to Rat. If he's gonna have, he's probably gonna have a combo piece at this point. I would have liked to Deadman's the Rat into the deck. Currently, that's not possible. But actually, I go for the Brawl here, just because it's a card that we don't want to copy multiple copies in. And I think I just go for a Van Cleef, which is a 6/6. It's at this point in the matchup I started to get a bit suspicious that he wasn't playing Tog anymore, that he would just be playing Jade. Yeah, an Armor Up pretty much confirms it there, that it's probably not combo. So I'm pretty happy to Deadman's here, because I still have Rat, and sometimes Jade runs kind of like Ysera or Yogg. But it turns out it's not that. I'm talking like it is Jade, but it's not actually Jade. Zeph gets turned off here because I'm going to copy in a bunch of Color Oracles. There's 3 going into the deck. That's my win condition in this matchup. Even if it's Jade, you could probably get your opponent down low enough to play some big minions and force them into making a giant board of Jades, Brawl, and then try to get some 10/10s up. Or use Zeph multiple times. It turns out it wasn't. So when we see the Cthulhu here, I assume it's not Jade, because Cthulhu obviously wouldn't be able to use Jade. So it's probably Cthulhu and Armor. The Armor being Line Cracker and 2 Bs and the 2 Armor cards. So I think the maximum we can get is around 2k Armor. Easily get through that with the Color Oracles, because he's going to hit a point where he can no longer kind of outlast the fatigue. So now it gets to a point where we have to have the kind of like perfect setup in order to do it. So we burn Emperor and we burn a Scales. So now his maximum armor is only going to be 1,000. So the Oracle did us... that 1 Oracle actually halved his HP in the future. So we just have to now set up for a decent enough hand where we can go infinite with it and not have any problems with board space as well. So I actually choose just to hit another Oracle there and overdraw him again. It's possibly doesn't have Line Cracker yet. So I just wanted to have a shot at either burning the other Scales or a copy of Bees, but we missed, but it's no big deal. So he actually gets his combo off now because he's probably a bit concerned. He can't really wait any longer, and I think he already has all the pieces there anyway. Yeah, he had the second bees. Because he's probably concerned that I'm going to disrupt it again. So I do take a risk with that second Oracle play, because I could overdraw the other Deadmans, but I figured it was worth it just to try end the game there and then. If we overdraw another Scales there, he'd have no armor. But we missed anyway, it's fine. I had so many cards in the deck there that statistically it's not very likely that I burn the Deadmans. So I can also start attacking with this Bulwark. I'm going to get rid of any card that is pretty much unnecessary at this point. So the Shield Slam should be unnecessary. The Barovs are potentially unnecessary. So what I have to consider now, and what I am considering now, is I have to have a hand of Deadman's Collate Oracle and a way to remove my own board. So that could be a hand like Barov Skipper. That would kill off my own board, or Collate Oracle Brawl would kill off my own board, and that's less cards than the Skipper Barov option, obviously by 1. I actually choose to do the Collate Oracle Brawl option, and I think I take too long to do it. I don't spend all my mana effectively for the next couple of turns, which I probably should do. I think I try a way to use Zeph to get or push extra damage, which doesn't really work out. I have the 2 10-10s on board just to do some initial first bit of damage, because obviously 10 damage is nothing to scoff at whilst you're setting up your oracles. He hasn't played Poison Siege yet, which is also worth noting. And also another problem with the Barov Skipper line is I'd need 2 board slots in order to do that. Whereas in my head, I was thinking of playing Oracle, Brawl. If I could get more Oracles in hand than Brawls. I actually plonked Zeph down there. I was hoping to get a Silence Master Spell. I was hoping for, so I could push the extra bit of damage in, but it turns out that Zeph didn't want to give me that. This is the part in the match that I probably wasn't too happy with, because that's a turn spent doing nothing there, and that's something I didn't really want to buff my board, and I didn't really want to spend a turn not going face there. But yeah, not much was actually achieved there, and it kind of forces me to actually brawl. If the board stays like this, it kind of forces me to brawl or do a Shield Slam play or something like that, just to get something else out. So that turn I was a bit miffed because Zeph didn't really offer me much. I'm pretty sure if obviously 1,000 life is insane. So if I just carried on down this line of just hitting him in the face like that, it would have went to a draw. 100% guaranteed. So I Shield Slam my own guy there. Again, that play was rubbish. I need to be playing multiple cards out. But in my head, my plan was to play Oracles and Brawl, so I can't actually use that copy of Brawl yet, because I need to Deadman's it in. So at this point, I'm just okay, just use I just need to get rid of my hand and set it up now to have this hand where I'm just gonna have an infinite loop of cards. It's just that it took way too longer than it actually should have. So yeah, Poison Siege drops, and because of the way this was played, I guess the Zeph turn was rubbish. I had to Deadman's in order to do Brawl, so I copied in, what was that, about 8 cards that I just didn't want. Or maybe not 8, maybe it was 6, because I did need Brawl and the Oracle. So I probably copied in 6 cards that I just didn't need. And then it's just the case now of just dropping the Barovs, dropping the Skippers, and then eventually dropping the Zeph as well. So we've skipped a good chunk there. You can see he's at 1k health, and I'm starting to get the setup of a decent hand here. So obviously the Brawl. What I've done is I've copied in Brawl, I've copied in Zeph, and I've also copied in Collate Oracle. So we're going to start seeing that board set up at this point. I think I picked Tyrion here, obviously because Tyrion overall is a hell of a lot of damage. with 15 off the weapon and a 6/6 repeating attack if he doesn't clear this. I think my opponent's still holding on to another copy of Poison Seeds at this point. So there's my setup loop. Now, it's worth noting I have more copies of Brawl than I do of the Coalite, which is a bit of an issue. Normally, you'd want like a 2-to-1, 2 Coalites to one Brawl. So the setup here is pretty simple. It's Deadman's Brawl. It's Oracle Brawl, Deadman's, Oracle Brawl, Deadman's. Now, my opponent could make it a little bit more trickier for me in this combo setup. All my opponent really has to do is hit one of the targets on board, and then obviously I can't brawl. Then you can't brawl if there's only one target on board. So instead of armoring up or hitting one of the minions, he hits me in the face there. I don't know if he's given up or if he's just not really paying much attention. So I do the same thing again. Demands after the brawl, and then I play the other Oracle. Let's see where his fatigue's on at this point, actually. So the game loops on now until he actually dies. I think he gets up to like 30 something fatigue, like 35 fatigue before he actually dies. So he actually takes 33, 34, 35. So he starts ticking over into 100 damage there. 44 worth of fatigue. That's a hell of a lot for 1,000 armor. I mean, if he got 2,000 armor, he would have done it. So you can see what I said by the other Oracle reduced his health by half. Yeah, if he had 2k armor, he probably would have survived, actually. Until like a draw. Like, if he was hitting the minion and... if he was hitting the minion and he didn't overdraw that one card, he would have been alright. But there you go. That's how you take out Armour Druid. With one rat and a lot of oracles.